obviously you've been through a journey and you've learned an awful lot as an individual, and obviously your role with the business that you now head up. Keen to sort of ask you about any of your personal practices or habits you do to stay mentally well. Some of the top tips. I mean, you talked about some things, earlier on in the podcast. So what do you sort of prescribe, or what works for you, and what can you share on that front?
Yeah, look, for me, obviously bipolar by nature is you deal in extremes. So my psychologist, we talk about living in the smorgasbord of normality. So it's definitely about balance is for me. So and what helps with balance is obviously your structure and your routine. So that's probably big for me, is having a good structure and routine suited to where I'm at and how I'm traveling. But the thing about it as well, I've got no control over where I wake up on this continuum. But what I do have control over is the actions I put in place for myself. So my psychologist speaks a lot about you can't control your thoughts or emotions, but you can better manage them. And what you can better manage them through is by your actions. So if you are in the red, and I've got family members that live with clinical depression, it might just be getting up and having a meal, making your bed and having a shower. And that's a win. Yep. But and there's nothing wrong with that. But for myself, though, I build what we call the 5 percenters. So I have my little recipe, so to speak, that I try and implement 5 out of the 7 days a week, where it might only give me 5%, but if I'm doing 3, 4, 5 of them, I'm going to be 20% better. And they're those actions that will help me think and feel and be even just that little 5% better. So for me, look, I try and get a session in the morning between 30 minutes to an hour. I try and do it at least 4 or 5 days a week. I'm lucky enough to live near the ocean, so I try and get that bit of that saltwater therapy.
Yep.
And get in that and do that all throughout winter too. What they say, the acute stresses on the body relieve the chronic ones on the mind.
Yep.
Look, I'm big on writing things down. So I write 3 intentions at the start of every day that I want to achieve. And I also write 3 things down that I was grateful for the previous day. And I know that sounds pretty cliche, but those things, I know at the end of the day when I go back to those intentions and go, yep, I got that done. And then you remind yourself to start that day what you do have and what you are doing. And it could be something as giving my missus a kiss on the cheek before I leave, something like that. But they're probably the key elements for myself that help me. And other elements that help me as well is if I notice a change in what I'm usually like, I always connect with one of my good workmates here, Chris, and my wife, Nadine. And I just say, look, how have I been travelling? Have you noticed any changes in what I'm like? Or have I been going okay? And they give me honest feedback. And then from that, it gives me a bit of an understanding of how I'm travelling. And I kind of compare that to how I feel I'm going as well. But I've got regular psychologist appointments. I see my psychologist once every 4 weeks. I've got one tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I'm managing myself really well. But it's about just like the way you service a car. Okay, you've got to change your filters. You've got to check the and that's what she does. She just keeps me accountable, gets a lot of the stuff out of here, and we unpack it together, and then we process it, put a bit of a plan in place, some things to work on that month, and then we come back and recalibrate again. And that for me is just like, I actually look forward to those sessions because no one knows anything. She doesn't share it with anyone. You just get it off your chest and you feel like a new person. And yeah, I highly recommend that. But it's also staying connected to people. When I tend to slide down this continuum, I disconnect, because how are you supposed to explain something to someone else when you don't understand it yourself? Or I'm not supposed to struggle. I'm the mental health guy. I'm supposed to. But when we feel like we need to disconnect, that's when we need to reconnect even more, because human beings are supposed to be connected to a tribe of 30, and connection is one of the biggest antidotes to a lot of the challenges, changes, adversities we go through in life. But it's connecting with the right people. But yeah, they're probably some of the biggest things for myself. Yeah, look, knowledge is power, but knowledge can be dangerous as well. So that's why when we do start to know and have that self-awareness, is just knowing that you don't have to do it on your own. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think awesome answers there, and I'm sure you share the same vision. I'd like to see in time everyone having access to a psychologist to catch up with monthly or whatever interval, the same way that we lean on the accountant to help us with our taxes, the same way we have PTs to help us in the gym, the same way lawyers help us, whatever the case is. Why would we not have someone to help us with our mental health? Because it's somewhere on that continuum we fall every day. Sometimes we're redlining, sometimes we're in the green zone, which is great, but to have that confidential forum to unpack and divulge where you're at and come up with some tools or techniques to better navigate or understand yourself and that sort of stuff is just gold. It's just priceless, So I hope in time everyone's got that opportunity to do that, because I think the upside's huge.
I just do want to add something there. If you are someone that is going to seek that clinical professional support or anything like that, and that first experience doesn't work out, please don't give up. My first experience wasn't good, and I almost tainted every single other support with the same brush. Nah, they're all no good. I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. And my mum said something to me I'll never forget. She said, go and get a second opinion. And we're quick to do that in any other retrospect or any other space, but in the mental health space, we're not. So I did, and I found the psychologist I've seen for the last 10 years. But my thing is, if what works for one doesn't work for another, we are all different. So please just make sure if that first experience doesn't work out, please don't give up. Sometimes it is a little bit of trial and error, but you will find the one that works for you. I just want people to know that.
Yep. Great add-on. To find someone to help you on your journey, what's your best advice there? I mean, there's Google, of course, whatever, but how do you find someone, when you're going through a tough time, you don't know where to start, you don't really afford to fall into the wrong hands, so to speak. What's your best advice there?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question, and there's obviously a range of different options out there. I refer to our support network toolbox, which you can get online, which is kind of got all the different best practice clinical professional supports categorized in the different areas, whether it's domestic violence, drug and alcohol, relationships, depression, anxiety. So you can check all that out. Look, there's obviously something that's come out. Obviously quite new in Australia, but it's called telehealth.
Yep.
So what that is, there's actually a platform called Cyberclinic, but there's an actual questionnaire you fill out, a personality profile, and the algorithm within that actually matches you to the practitioner that's suited to your personality and to your change, challenge, or adversity, whatever that is. So it cuts through a lot of the barriers and the challenges that you face. So it overcomes those and links you to that practitioner that's suited to you. So there's definitely that option there. But there's also when you go and see your GP, okay? So if you're sort of looking to start that support journey, you go and see your GP and you do a Medicare mental health care plans consultation. Actually speak to that GP and say, look, I'd rather actually speak to a male over a female or a female over a male. Look, I'm going through some drug and alcohol issues, so can I get maybe someone that's specialised in that? And look, these are just things we don't commonly know, and especially when you're in a bad headspace, sometimes it's lucky to get out of bed, and I've been there. So the other bit of advice I really guide people into is don't work alone. Get a mental health advocate so that they can maybe do a little bit of the researching for you or find out the options that are available to you, because you may not be in that best headspace to do that. So you get, whether it might be a parent, family member, friend, a fellow worker, and you have a bit of a mental health advocate for you that can support you into that and not working alone, because when we are in that dark headspace, I know exactly what it's like. You don't want to be around anyone. You don't want to talk to anyone. And it's a hard headspace to be in. So having a mental health advocate can make the world a difference as well. But look, definitely our support network toolbox. But then organisations, Headspace, Beyond Blue, Lifeline, Kids Helpline. Like, these are the Relationships Australia. Like, these are some of the best organisations that are literally saving and changing people's lives as well.
Yeah, great answer, and I particularly like that mental health advocate, because like you say, when you're doing it tough and it's a struggle to get out of bed, to find someone, to speak to someone, to book the appointment, it's a bit of a battle, But if you've got someone that's in a better headspace to say, look, leave it to me, I'll do the research, I'll find some options, I'll try and connect you. It's just a good, simple strategy to get the help you need.
Yeah, well, we do it with the physical space.
Yeah.
Like, I've had family members go through cancer, and that's, when you hear that, it's devastating. And you don't necessarily listen or hear what the doctors are saying because you're in shock. So having someone there with you to listen and advocate for you can make the world a difference.
Absolutely. So keen to understand your vision for what you're doing at Mental Health Movement. I mean, you're driven by making huge impact. You're saving and improving lives, daily. So what's your vision for the business, and what exciting stuff do you guys have in front of you?
Yeah, look, obviously the vision is to continue creating, developing, maintaining as many mentally healthy, supportive workplaces as we can, and do that really well. So it's not about trying to conquer the world and take on as many companies as possible. It's just to try and do what we do really well, but also look after our team as well, because you've got to practice what you preach. You can't be slave driving here, but then doing that there. So making sure we're looking after our team really well, so that we can provide the best service, the best offering, the best support we can as well. But kind of some things, obviously our Mental Health Workplace Blueprint is our core business that we do really, really well, as we've spoken about. But the elements with that obviously make up where this ISO standard, the ISO 45003, has come about. And our organisational psychologist, Dr. Alicia McGregor, she has been working with our work health and safety specialists, and we're just about to launch in sort of March next year our psychosocial hazard risk assessment training and support program. So it's it's got 5 stages around measure, learn, assessment and training, and then obviously the implementation of that. So that's really exciting. And obviously there's going to be pieces you've got to nut out and find out and things like that. But that's probably our next big thing that we're launching. The other part that we've been able to launch at the start of the first lockdown is our Mental Health Movement Digital Academy. So we've been able to develop our blueprint in a digital mode of delivery. So we've been able to connect with people obviously digitally when we haven't been able to do it face to face, but we've also been able to connect with family members that don't necessarily get the awareness, the education, the training, the resources because they don't work there. Their partner does, or their family member does. So being able to translate that, Go1 is our tech partner, and we've got Dr. Cam Cliff, who is an expert in obviously transferring what you do face to face into a digital mode. We've been able to do that, and we've got 30 or 40,000 people on that platform, which is it's unbelievable. Being able to hear family members' feedback going, oh, that continuum module or the mental health cup module, it's changed my whole way I look at mental health. If we hadn't have developed that platform, we never would have had that. So that's probably something I think our team's really proud of, because look, when COVID come that first lockdown, your core business is face-to-face training. You're like, holy shit, what are we going to do? So being able to translate that, and I don't want to use the word that everyone uses, pivot. It's been a bit of a hot word, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
But being able to pivot and implement that into a way that's been able to connect. I'm really proud of being able to still support our clients, our people, and some of our clients are our friends. Being able to support them and their families throughout COVID, not being able to get there face to face is something I'm really proud of. But yeah, I think in a nutshell, keep looking after our team, keep delivering our blueprint to the best of our ability, launch the FRATS is what we call it, and keep just adding so many different things onto this digital academy to keep people connected with the best practice, awareness, education, training resources, and links to appropriate supports.
Fantastic. Look, you've been awesome with your time today, Dan. Covered some really, I think, really good and informative things for people to sort of take away from the conversation today. But where can people find out more about you guys and the exciting work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And yeah, on mentalhealthmovement.com.au, you can check out us via our website, or you can email us directly at info@mentalhealthmovement.com.au. You can follow us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. It's all just under Mental Health Movement. So yeah, we provide some pretty clear, simple, and effective content as well. But yeah, that's how you find us.